Now available for pre-order on Kindle. Stop Simping in Cyberspace. Learn how to avoid predatory females in their virtual con games with Stop Simping in Cyberspace. Pre-order your copy of Stop Simping in Cyberspace on Kindle today.
There was a shooting that took place at Heritage High School in Newport News, Virginia. And in this incident, a 15-year-old suspect is alleged to have walked down the school's main hallway, pulled out his backpack, unzipped it, and reached inside for a firearm. And as he took out that firearm, he then went out here and shot in the direction of several students, and then wound up striking two innocent bystanders as a result. One 17-year-old student fell to the ground, and another 18-year-old, I believe, was shot as well. And both of these children, thank God, did not wind up losing their lives as a result of this shooting. Now, in the aftermath of this shooting, the boy dropped his gun in the trash and ran away. However, he was quickly caught. Now, the police see this as an isolated incident, but when I take a critical examination of this school shooting in Newport News, Virginia, it fits right in line with the pattern and profile I talk about regarding beta males in my book, The Man Crisis. And it's clear to me that the alleged suspect in this incident was a boy who was turning into a man in crisis, because this isn't the first time he has participated in a shooting. Now, this boy, a year before, at 14 years old, had participated in the shooting of another young person, and as a result, he had been arrested and was waiting trial in the juvenile justice system. And at the time of the shooting he was participating in, he was wearing an ankle monitoring bracelet. So this is a really troubling incident, because it shows how this boy practically fell through the cracks of the juvenile justice system. And the critical question people are asking is how this boy found his way to getting access to another weapon, and how he was able to go into this school with a loaded firearm in Newport News, Virginia. Those are two critical questions people should be asking, but the answer to those questions is very simple. If you understand the man crisis, you understand that many of these beta males oftentimes they oftentimes go out here and they break boundaries, because oftentimes these boys are not raised to understand the concepts of boundaries. Moreover, they are not raised to understand critical thinking. And because a lot of these boys are not good critical thinkers, what happens is they do not understand the concept of consequences for their actions. And in the case of this 15-year-old suspect, it's clear to me he really did not understand the concept of boundaries, and he did not understand the concept of consequences as for actions, because instead of him realizing that he was already in some serious trouble with law enforcement as related to the shooting he had previously participated in, he then goes out here and acts on impulse, on his feelings, and then participates in yet another shooting and winds up doing harm to two more innocent students. Now, this is something that happens with a lot of these beta males, again, due to the dysfunctional way that they are raised. Many of these boys, because they grow up in dysfunctional homes, do not, again, understand the concept of consequences, and they do not understand that they are being held accountable for something. So when this boy was arrested, it seems like no light bulb came on in his head to tell him that he was in trouble and he needed to dial things back as related to his behavior. No, he thought everything was perfectly fine and continued to participate in his dysfunctional behavior. And even after he had been arrested for shooting one person, he then goes out and gets another gun and goes out to go shoot more people. So this is a real serious problem as related to many of these boys these days, because clearly there is a serious problem with the way that they're being raised. And what I'm saw as related to this situation is, one, he doesn't understand boundaries. Two, he doesn't understand consequences. And three, he does not understand the concept of authority, because here you have a boy who is in the custody of the authorities, and instead of him realizing that he is in trouble with the authorities, he continues to participate in the same dysfunctional behavior as before and believes that there is absolutely nothing wrong with his behavior. So there's a serious problem here that is getting worse as related to the way these boys are being raised. And I remember watching a Mr. Superboy video a while back where he was talking about a female police officer who was killed in the line of duty, and the absolute disrespect for authority that those males had after they murdered this police officer. And this boy's behavior fits right in line with that pattern of disrespect for authority that we're starting to see from this new young generation of males, who are a generation that have come up after 2 to 3 generations of boys who grew up in single mother households or households with beta male fathers, where they never learned the concept of how to respect male authority. And now we're seeing that these boys who were the fathers who didn't learn to respect male authority are now raising boys who have no respect for any sort of authority figure at all. And because they have no respect for any sort of authority, they believe they can act on whatever impulses they have and just go out here and do whatever they please. And that's what happened in this case here at this Heritage High School, where this boy just decides, oh, I'm just going to walk down the main hallway, pull a gun outside of my backpack, and then start shooting into a large group of students during a fight. That's really troubling, because again, it shows that this person has no sense of discipline, no sense of self-control, and no real center of self-control, because they have never really been taught these essential male life skills and male survival skills. And what's really interesting about this case is that this boy, because he wasn't a critical thinker, he not only was acting on impulse, he was also wearing some multicolored socks as he was doing the shooting. And this is the thing that led to him easily being captured by security and law enforcement in the school. So this is a really troubling incident, and it just shows me how much worse the man crisis is getting in this country. And it shows me how much worse it is going to get, because again, people in America do not want to acknowledge this man crisis, and they don't want to sit here and acknowledge that the way we have been raising boys to become men is raising boys to become monsters. And what we're getting are a group of ticking time bombs all across this country that are simmering and boiling in anger, exploding in these rages, and participating in a spectrum of extremely violent behavior. And what's really scary is that these people have no real respect for any place. They'll go out here and participate in this violence in a school. They will participate in this violence in any place, not regarding anybody else's safety. It's all about their feelings and how they're feeling right now. And that what's really sad is, in the case of this 15-year-old boy, is that even after getting caught, he never once thought about the consequences of his actions as related to the first shooting, and even having that ankle monitoring bracelet placed on him by a judge, because he had to probably go through a pre-trial hearing to get that ankle monitoring bracelet. Even this did not deter him from wanting to commit more crimes. And that is the scariest part about this latest generation of beta males, is that they have absolutely no regard for authority, because some of them, it's looking like they have absolutely no moral compass. So this generation that's coming up this is like the worst part of the man crisis, which I said was going to get worse. And this new generation, again, no regard for authority, no regard for anybody's safety, acts impulsively on their feelings, never thinks once about anything that they have done. This is a scary group that's coming up. And if we don't acknowledge this man crisis, we are going to be in for an absolute nightmare coming up in the next few years. And yes, this boy is in custody, but what's really scary is he's going to be charged as a juvenile probably, but not as an adult. But that just shows me that even after a future in the juvenile justice system where he's going to probably get turned out by Bubba and Tiny and traded for ramen noodles and Little Debbie snack cakes, he is going to come out a further, more hardened criminal, and that is the scariest part about this whole situation with this juvenile, is that we have the start of not of a monster, and what's even scarier is we have the start of a whole generation of monsters due to Americans still refusing to acknowledge this man crisis and refusing to make a serious effort to try to do something about this generation of boys, which is growing up to become a new group of really predatory and terroristic men. Now, if you want to learn more about why beta males like this participate in this type of violence, you can pick up my book, The Man Crisis, on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also pick up The Man Crisis on Smashwords, the iBookstore, Barnes & Noble, and Google Play. And hopefully, after reading The Man Crisis, you can help a young man in your life get out of this destructive cycle and start to grow on a road to healthy manhood. Now, if you want to see me make more videos like this, you can donate to my Patreon, my PayPal, or my Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.
Now available for the first time on Google Play, The Man Crisis. Learn why so many men are falling apart in an increasingly gynocentric world in The Man Crisis. Get your copy on Google Play today.